Hello everyone. This is just a quick video to introduce you to the Marriage and Family course and to anticipate a few of the questions you might have as you're getting started. Right now we're looking at the home page of the course in D2L. You'll see three widgets: an announcements widget, a lessons widget, and a calendar widget. You'll spend most of your time in the lessons widget. This is where you'll be able to see the lessons for the course. When you click on a lesson folder, that lesson folder opens and you can see the contents of the lesson folder. Normally a lesson folder will include a checklist and a reading assignment or some videos that you are to view for that lesson, and a quiz. And finally there is also the Gottman project essay. So those are the things that you'll see in a typical lesson folder. If we click on the lesson folder for the first lesson, which is the orientation lesson, and click on the first item in that folder, it takes you to the checklist. This little list of items at the top are called breadcrumbs, and they show you where you are and where you've been within the course. We're looking at the table of contents, and we're looking at the lesson folder called Read Me First syllabus folder, and we're looking at the file within that folder called Checklist. The checklist tells you what the requirements are for this particular lesson. After you've read the checklist and perhaps made notes about it, and you want to go to the next item in the folder, you can use these forward and backward arrows to move forward and backward in the course. The next item in this first orientation lesson is the syllabus. I recommend that you click this caret next to the name of the syllabus, and it will allow you to download the syllabus as a PDF file on your computer. And one of the benefits of this is that you can enlarge the size of the file, the PDF file, so that you can more easily read it. But you can also download it using this button and save it onto your computer, or you can use this button to print the file. And you're most likely going to want to print the syllabus so that you can refer to it easily again and again throughout the course. I want to point out a few highlights in the syllabus. First of all, please note that email should always be sent inside of D2L and not through any other email system. This helps keep the course organized more efficiently. And if I receive email from people in other systems, I'll simply send back a reminder to use the D2L email system without responding to that email until you send it to me in D2L. Due to COVID, office hours are not being held on campus. However, if you'd like, you can make an appointment and I'll set up a Zoom meeting and we can meet online. The textbook for the course is What Makes Love Last: How to Build Trust and Avoid Betrayal by John Gottman and Nan Silver. John Gottman is a recognized national authority on the study of marriage and the family, and he's quite famous for his research that is described in this book. I've noticed that students really enjoy the book, And throughout the course, what we're going to do is write a reflection for each chapter that you read in the book. And the instructions on how to do the reflection are in the syllabus. It's nice to have a paper copy of the book, but if you're in a hurry to get it so that you can get started on the lessons, I would recommend that you buy the electronic version, which you can do on Amazon, and that way you can start reading it right away. The remainder of the course reading material and video viewing will be provided for you free of charge in D2L. How will you be graded for this course? For every lesson, there will be a quiz, and the average of all of your lesson quiz grades will equal 40% of your semester grade. And within every lesson, there will be written assignments, reflection assignments from your reading of the Gottman book. And then there will be a final exam. So 40% for the quizzes, 40% for the average of your reflection grades, and 20% for the final exam will make up 100% of your semester grade. The quizzes will be delivered online through D2L, and students will be allowed multiple attempts at each quiz until the deadline for that quiz. So if you don't complete the quiz by the deadline, then you would get a 0 for that quiz. If you complete the quiz multiple times, then your grade for that quiz would be the average of all of your attempts for that particular quiz. But the quiz will no longer be available after the deadline. How do you know when the deadlines are? Just scroll down in the syllabus until you get to page 7. And on page 7 you'll see a course schedule of class activities and deadlines. This schedule shows each lesson on a calendar for each week within the course. And it shows the deadline for each quiz. So the first lesson will be the one that says read me first, which is the orientation lesson. And the main reading for it is the syllabus. And the quiz associated with that lesson is called this Attendance Verification Syllabus Quiz. And it has to be done before 9 p.m. on March 8th. The next lesson, which is called Lesson 1, appears in the next week. The topic of that lesson is Family and Society. The Gottman chapters that you'll read during that lesson is Chapters 1 and Chapter 2. And then the date of the quiz for that. The quiz must be done for that lesson before 9 p.m. on March 22nd. And the Gottman chapter reflections are also due before 9 p.m. on that same date. And then the final exam will be given on May 3rd and 4th. I'll make the final exam available starting at 8 a.m. on May 3rd, and it'll remain available to you in D2L until 9 p.m. on May 4. At 9 p.m. on May 4, the exam will disappear and will no longer be available. Page 8 has instructions for how to do the Gottman project and what your reflection paper will look like. Now your reflection papers are really basically a one-page paper for most people, but there's no restriction on how many pages you can use. You simply will have to follow this outline that's given, where for each chapter in the Gottman book, you'll have at least 2 paragraphs, and they should have this header. The first header should say brief summary of the chapter's main points, and then your paragraph under that header would be your summary of the chapter content, and you should be sure to include enough information in that paragraph or paragraphs to demonstrate that you have read the chapter and understand what the content of that chapter is. The second paragraph, or group of paragraphs, would have the heading Personal Reflection about the chapter. And the content that falls below that heading in your paper is simply what you think about what you've learned from that chapter. What are your thoughts as you read the chapter? Is there anything in particular that resonated with you? So you can critique it if you like. You don't have to agree with everything that you read. And if reading the chapter provides some insights for you, you can point that out. So whatever your reflection is upon reading the chapter, that's what you would write about in this section below this heading. Submit these papers in the assignment tool in D2L. Here we have a kind of a template of how your reflection paper should look. At the top you should have you should indicate what chapter this reflection paper is about. You should have your name, the date, and the chapter title. Then you have the header for the first section of your paper, a brief summary of the chapter's main points. Underneath that will be what you write about the summary. Then you'll have your second header, your personal reflections about the chapter, and underneath that is where you'll put the content of your paper that is your personal reflections. So it's pretty simple, and that's exactly what your paper should look like. You can compose the paper in a word processor like Microsoft Word, which is available for free to all students, and then you can save it and you will be able to upload it in the assignment tool in D2L. Okay, if we're back looking at the lesson, we can go to the next item in the lesson by clicking the next button. And the next item in lesson 1 is a document that shows the learning goals for each lesson. This is a very valuable document to you because these learning goals tell you exactly what to study for the quiz on each lesson. The smart thing to do would be to read these learning goals before you complete the lesson, and then make up some questions for yourself that you can answer as you're reading the lesson and watching the lesson videos. And as you do that, answer those questions and make notes about your answers, because that's the information you'll need to know for the quiz. And since the quiz is open book and open notes, you'll be able to have your notes in front of you when you're taking the quiz so that you can refer to them when you are answering a question on the quiz about any particular part of what you've studied. All right, if we click the next page in the lesson, there's an email that tells you how to change the settings in D2L. This is very important. Please do change the settings as described in this video. The next item is a short video that shows you how to send email in D2L. And then there's a discussion. The next item in the lesson is a discussion that gives you an opportunity to introduce yourself. And finally, there's a food for thought discussion to get us started with the course. It's basically just for fun, but it gets us started thinking about what is a family and what we're going to be studying during the semester. So that's a brief introduction to the course and a look at some of the key points of the syllabus. Let me know if you have any questions, and I look forward to reading your papers throughout the course.